Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm back. I took a little while off. My 18-year-old ended up having a mild stroke when we was on the road coming back from Georgia back into Illinois a week ago. So actually been trying to get some things together, but today I'm gonna tell my story of how I'm a domestic violence survivor. I got into that relationship when I was 16. You grew up in a two-parent household. Sometimes a lot of people try to say two-parent households are always better than one-parent household. It's not always the case. My parents, they did very well. They provided me with everything that I needed. But when you don't know how to express love to your kids, that will have an effect on kids in the long run. Not knowing how to express that love, not having really good communication within the household, all that stuff, not having God in the household, all that stuff play a part, and it will affect kids. And if it isn't corrected immediately, it will eventually have an effect on your relationships and your life. When you don't know how to express your love, when you don't know how to communicate properly, when you don't have God present in your life, all those things will have an issue. But this relationship, I got into this relationship when I was 16, and the reason why I said all that just then about the communication of love and God is because those things that was missing in my life is what put me on this path, which had me in a position to where I couldn't I didn't know what love was. I'm gonna put it that way. I didn't know what love was. So it put me in some of the worst relationships ever. But the domestic violence relationship, I was in that relationship from the age of 16 till I was 25. It was 25. And the person who I was in a relationship with, now I never seen my parents argue. I never seen my parents fight. Domestic violence, it was foreign to me, so I never saw it. But the person who I was with who was actually, and he is also he's the dad of my oldest 3 kids. He saw it growing up. So for him, it was a learned behavior. That's how he grew up in that household like that. His parents' fault. I didn't know that until after the fact. After the whole relationship ended. But yeah, I used to he was very violent. The man was I can't even say man, but he stood 6'4", over 200 pounds. I'm 5'7". My weight has always been around 150. And I'm 5'7". So he always used his weight to intimidate people, even his parents. I've seen him get physical with his parents, disrespect his parents throughout the course of the relationship. He was these marks on my hand, he used to put his cigarettes and blunts out on my hand. When it first started happening, that used to be really, really bad. Really bad. He had set up infection and everything. I had to doctor that hand back. I had to doctor that hand up myself because I was too embarrassed to go to the hospital to let the doctors check it out, and I didn't want to have to answer any questions. And a lot of this stuff I kept to myself. I kept it to myself, away from my family. My family didn't know the extent of what I was going through, because I was living with him and his family. So they didn't know. They knew I was going through some things. They didn't know the extent of what I was going through. His parents was there during the whole course of everything that we was going through. Even when they did try to step in and help or whatever, like I say, he would get physical with his own parents. It came to around when this happened, it was getting close to me walking away from the relationship. And the whole thing about these situations, whether you family or a friend of a person who's involved in a domestic violence relationship or whatever, the best thing for you to do is be an ear and steady try to encourage them, you know, to get away from the situation. But they really not gonna get away from the situation until their mind is made up. Like, they mind have to be totally made up to walk away from those type of situations. And the reason I ended up walking away from that situation, it was New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, my son, my second oldest son at the time, he was 5 years old. He was 5. Me and their dad had got into an argument, and my 5-year-old son started crying. We had an upstairs apartment. We stayed in the 2-flat. We had the upstairs apartment. His parents had the first floor apartment. And my 5-year-old son was about to run downstairs to get his grandparents because he was fighting me. We were arguing. He was fighting me, putting his hands on me. So he grabbed my 5-year-old son by his arm and he slung him up against the wall. That was my final straw. I was, at that point, I knew in my head I was done. And with these situations are so delicate. You know, don't try to be resistant when you know you're about to leave that situation. It came to a point where it has to come to a point where you're gonna have to play the fool to fool the fool. You're gonna have to play that part, like, you know, baby, everything okay. And that's what I had to do. Like, I didn't give him no indication I was leaving, no nothing. I pretended like everything was fine, you know, and that was the only way that I knew that I was gonna be able to get him out the house and away from me. So I was giving him the indication like everything was fine, like I wasn't going anywhere. It was New Year's Eve. So when he did eventually leave out the house that day, he left out the house. When he left out the house, I called Chicago police and I called my dad. I said, Dad, and I asked my dad to come get us because it was time for me to leave. My mind was made up. My mind had been made up a long time ago, but it wasn't the easiest thing for me to leave him because he knew where all my family stayed, so I really had nowhere to go. You know, if you got enough guts to get out of town to another state or whatever, do it. Leave them situations because they never, almost, I ain't gonna say never, but it's like an 80% chance they never end well. So my mind was made up. New Year's Eve. It was New Year's Eve of 2003. You know, I called Chicago police. I called my dad. I told my dad, I said, Dad, I'm finna leave. I need you to come get me and the kids. So the police pulled up and my dad pulled up because I wanted the police there in case he tried to pull anything. I didn't want just my dad there and he might try to pull something, try to do something stupid, because I already seen how he is with his own parents. So I made sure the police was there. So I packed me and my kids up, left, went back to my parents' house, which they stayed like 7 minutes away from where I was in Riverdale, which is right next to Chicago. So I packed us up. We moved back in with my parents. You know, I wasn't thinking nothing of it. You know, I'm 26 at the time. You know, you don't think of stalking. You don't think of harassment. You don't think of none of that stuff because it was all foreign to me. So I used to work all the way on the north side of Chicago. If anybody knows Chicago is huge. We stayed on the south side. I worked on the north side of Chicago. I leave out of work one day and I seen him riding past my job. And, you know, at the time, I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm only 26. But, you know, he had been stalking me the whole time. He had been stalking me. He had been coming to my parents' house, leaving stuff on the porch, ringing the bell, you know, calling the phone constantly. And it's messed up because the police can never... It's sad how the police never intercede on these situations. And they need to put some type of law into effect. You know, when a person is steady doing things like that and you steady calling the police, telling them this, that, another, and they still not doing nothing about it. That's how a lot of these women don't end up making it out these situations. They need a different law when it comes to domestic violence because there's too many women out here losing their lives to these situations. But anyway, he riding past my job all the way on the north side. I know it, you know, I'm just looking like, okay, you know, like I said, at that time I didn't think nothing of it, but yeah, he had been stalking me, he had been harassing me, but my mind was already made up, so I wasn't even paying no attention really because I wasn't going back no matter what. So I had put an order of protection out against him, and we were supposed to went to court on, I want to say the 25th or the 26th of January of 2004. I forgot what day it was, but it was a Monday. I had to work the Sunday before that court date. So I went to work that Sunday. I came, when I got home, my mom was cooking Sunday dinner. My dad was asleep. The kids was in the house. My aunt and her husband had came over with their son. My brother was at work. So my mama had a house full of people, for Sunday dinner that day. So I go to the bathroom. I'm sitting in the bathroom, and I hear, the door, and then I started hearing like commotion or whatever. I'm not really thinking nothing. I'm thinking something of it because I'm like, okay, what's going on? Because I do remember him making threats like he'd catch my father, he'd catch my brother coming home from work, this, that, and the other. So the only person who went in the house at the time was my brother, because when I was sitting in the bathroom, I was thinking, man, I need to jump out this window. I had two thoughts going in my head at this time. I'm like, man, I should jump out this window. But I'm like, nah, I kept thinking about my brother. So I ended up opening up the bathroom door. When I opened up the bathroom door, I see him holding a gun on my father, bringing my father out of his room. So when he saw me, he immediately turned the gun towards me and told me to come in the living room and sit down. So he have all of us sitting in the living room of my parents' house on the couch with the gun on us in front of my kids, in front of the kids that we share. And he snatched me out at gunpoint and ran me down the side of my parents' house. He had a van sitting in the alley. He had help. He had a van sitting in the alley with this two other people in it. These are the people that helped him, was helping him with this. And he immediately got out of Riverdale into Chicago, because, like I say, Riverdale is a neighboring suburb to Chicago. And he ended up he had me for 9 days. He shot at me in that van because I wouldn't stop crying. I was just, of course, who wouldn't be hysterical going through something like that? So I was crying, and I was, like snot nose crying. So he ended up shooting in my direction. I felt the bullet go across the top of my left thigh, and it ended up lodging in the van somewhere. So he ended up having me for 9 days. He had me at different places, and it's crazy how all this played out at that time. And I didn't really want to tell his parents what was going on at that time, because, like I say, if I'd have told them this man got a gun in his hand, not really knowing what he gonna do, so I didn't tell them. I told his sister. I told his sister what he did, because his parents didn't know at that time what he had done. So I told his sister. His sister, she slid me this burner phone. That you could only, and that burner phone, I was only able to call 911. So I had to wait until I know I had enough, because he was like right next to me during this whole ordeal. Like he wouldn't let me out his sight during this whole ordeal, except for one time that he let me go to the bathroom. When he let me go to the bathroom, I tried to hurry up and dial 911. I had got 911 on the phone, but he had busted in the bathroom too fast, and he jumped on me. He beat me, broke the phone. This man made me drink bleach. He wanted to do this whole murder-suicide thing. He made me drink bleach, and he poured 2 glasses of bleach. He made me start drinking the bleach, and then when he started to drink it, he didn't like the taste, so he poured both of the glasses of bleach out. He had it in his head he was gonna do a whole murder-suicide thing. He was trying to get me up to Minnesota, but he never got me out the state of Illinois. So the police ended up catching up to us. And, they asked me, was I with him willingly? I told them, no, I wasn't. So they arrested him. Chicago police had arrested him. And, after, the detectives, question us and question him about the whole incident, because there was a lot more that went on, but you know, this is a part of my book anyway that's out, but I'm just giving y'all a summary of what happened. So after the police finished questioning everybody that was involved with the incident, you know, he admitted to the DA everything that he did. He admitted to the DA everything he did. But they didn't know he had no plan on going to jail. He made that clear. He made that very clear to my dad that he was not going to jail. Despite everything that he did, he said he wasn't going to jail. So once they questioned everybody about the incident, he admitted to everything. They did not have him handcuffed. At the Riverdale police station used to have a staircase. Soon as you come through the front door, it used to have a staircase that goes up to another room, another area of the police station, and they never had handcuffs on him. So when they took him up there to question him, so when they was bringing him back down, he ended up overpowering one of the officers, took his gun out his holster, drug him out the police station, drug him across it was it used to be a small club called Club Lamar. It used to be across the street from that police station. He took him behind that police station and shot that man in his head. Once he shot that man in his head, he attempted to try to carjack, I think, like 2 or 3 people in the process. You know, he wouldn't put the gun down. He refused to put the gun down. When the police was instructing him to put the gun down, he ended up raising that gun up, and the police ended up killing him. You know, and I really don't understand. Like, I have no remorse at all. You know, about his death, I have no remorse at all. Like, I didn't feel anything when he died. He had done enough to me, so I didn't feel anything when he had died. Regardless if that's my kid's dad or whatever, I felt nothing. My kids was better off being raised with me, and that's it. But I felt no remorse after his death. But that's the type of mind frame that he had. And the lady who did my order of protection, she told me, when she did my order of protection before all this had went down, she told me, she was like, she said, this is her exact words to me. I remember her words so clear, like it was yesterday. She said, I normally don't do this. She was like, but sit down. She said, I looked at y'all names on this paper. She was like, he got 2 choices left in life. Either he gonna change his ways or he's gonna die. This was before that incident. Yeah, and he's dead. He's dead. Like I said, these situations almost never end good. Almost never end good. You know, ladies, if you in one, it's not cute. It's not cute to be sitting up there letting no man hit on you. You know, it's not, get yourself out that situation. It's not cute to be sitting up here walking around with a black eye. You know, you might not know no better. You know, you might not, you might have seen it growing up. I don't know. But it's not normal. And those situations never, those are the worst situations, and the kids suffer the most. The kids suffer the most out of those situations. So you have to stop thinking about trying to keep that man and take care of your kids. Raise your kids. Get out that situation. But I wanted to come on today to give y'all my story, my background story of everything, like what really, that's the story that like really kicked off this entire journey, is because that situation I went through. And after I started my healing process, it's crazy how God was showing me where he was present in my life during that ordeal, during that situation. It was God's spirit who guided me out that situation. It was him instructing me. I'm thinking those my own ideas to not run, do this, because I had a couple of opportunities. I was able to run away from him, but those God was showing me that he was letting me know, if I run and get away, he gonna come back, and he gonna come back stronger than when he came in that first time. And if I don't get away, he gonna kill me. So those couple of opportunities that I said, okay, I leave or run or whatever, I didn't. And it played out the way that it did. He is no longer on this earth. He did enough dirt on this earth that his days was cut. But ladies, be careful if you know anybody that's in these type of situations. I will have my email on this I will post my email in the descriptions. If you need to talk, if you need help, whatever it is, I don't care. You need help, but email me. Because it's not a good situation. It's not. But I just wanted to come on and give my story. I got a lot to talk about. Like, I got enough life experience. Period. Life has been my teacher. Like, for real. Life has taught me a lot. But you guys have an awesome day. I'll see you guys again soon. Talk to you later.